Every time the innovations don't work, and sometimes you have to go back to the basics also. Basically, I'll be talking about the fantasies which has become reality at today's present day of time. No financial interest in the presentation. However, we do acknowledge the receiving of the grants from various national and international agencies. The diagnosis of retinitis pigmentosa is a lightning which has struck and that has come to a dead end. But the rising hopes are now on. That has started with the Argus. We are not touching that, got FDA approval in 2012 and 13. But now, recently, the gene therapy has come up in a big way as a rising hope for the retinitis pigmentosa and various inherited retinal dystrophies. This is a vector which a Cas9 gene which is bound with an mRNA sequence which can fit to the designed article, and then they can get unlocked the DNA which is existing and the gene which has been trapped and targeted. The Cas9 is a molecular scissor which can cut the DNA into the pieces, and then when we inject a newly modified provided the proper sequencing gene that gets attached to the DNA double helix, and the other part also get attached, so that the gene is being replaced in the molecular basis, and then now the cell can be functional as a normal part. Luxturna is the first drug to be approved by the US FDA in 2018, which is only available in the US at this point of time, and only 6 centers are being allowed to carry on the treatment. The RPE65, which is an integral part of the visual pathway, but the diagnostic dilemmas will always remain, as there are symptoms which are not exclusive only to RPE65 gene which can be diagnosed. So we need a definite gene typing to diagnose the thing. How do it work? How does it work? Basically, it's a gene delivery which is in the sub-RPE stage. You have to inject the drug in the sub-RPE stage. Then, thereby doing that, this RPE65 protein gets produced in the gene, and the protein functions and it restores the visual cycle. The AAV2 vector is the benign vector, and it's a virus which has a low potential to elicit an inflammatory response, and it's a non-pathogenic thing. This is a nice surgical video which can demonstrate how does it work. Basically, injection site is 2 mm from the fovea, and the total volume is 0.3 mm. The OCT guided, you first inject a BSS in the subretinal space to create a balloon. Now you inject a Luxturna in the balloon space. Just make sure that the viral vector does not spill over in the vitreous cavity. You create a balloon in the subretinal space, keeping in mind that the fovea is still not detached. Do a standard fluid gas exchange and finish the case off. This is another case from Dr. Tahira. This is the assistant which can hold. There are two vitreoretinal surgeons which are needed. First is the primary surgeon, another one would be the injector. The cannula injects in the subretinal space, and you can see a nice balloon pop up juxtafoveally. You have to make sure that the fovea does not get detached, and you inject the full volume of the dose. This is the other eye of the same patient, which is done 5 days apart to inject, and the nice pop-up of the subretinal ballooning with a viral vector and a DNA edited gene which has gone inside. Fine, this is the standard surgical procedure. You do a fluid gas exchange and finish the case off on table. But the thing is, how do you measure that? That's the basic thing, that how do you measure the functions? So they have developed a multi-luminance mobility testing that has a score based from 0 to 6, depending on the lux, which is 400 lux to 1 lux. This corresponds to the brilliantly lit office of 400 lux to the moonless summer light of the 1 lux in illumination. This is the standard mobility test 1 year post-treatment. On the left, you can see the hesitant movements of the patient, and on the right, you can see a fairly nice, confident steps, and he is able to follow the steps and the arrows which are made on the floor, and he is able to finish the test in quick time, whereas on the left, the patient is struggling to find the way out. So Luxturna has 65% of the participants, 13 out of 20 in the intervention group were successfully completed the MLMT at the lowest light level of 1 lux. Just finish in half a minute. 89% of the participants, this was very hopeful, that 89% of the participants, they passed at 1 lux after 1 year even. So the improvement which is mentioned is not a short-lived, but it's a long-lived thing. At present, they have sustained 4 years of data, and which is quite promising. They have got an US FDA approval. They are still planning for 15-year post-randomization follow-ups. See, everything looks fantasy, right? Other than this, the cost in Indian rupees for a single dose of injection is coming to 6 crore 20 lakh rupees. So it's 8,50,000 US dollar per injection per eye. So that's an exuberant thing at this point of time for any of the patients. They have made, after 2018 where it launched, they've injected 65, they've sold 65 vials, and presently they are still managing and counting the things. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I was just discussing with Sir now. When we were looking at our data pool of patients with RP who can be, even if somebody says that they have 6 crores to pay, the RP65 mutation in our country is very, very rare.
Yes. Yes. So there are racial differences which are
even
there.
Even in US, RP retinitis pigmentosa due to RP65 gene mutation, single gene mutation, are very uncommon.
Exactly. There are multiple genes which contribute to that, and there are simultaneous presence of multiple genes. So to find a single genotype defective patient is still difficult for the US patients also. They have made only 32 patients for the FDA approval.
So it will be a challenge.
Yeah, but still there is something to
have. That's how it's, I mean, we started off with penicillin.
Exactly.
Today we have multiple things. So penicillin was a novelty. So exactly, I'm sure that this is how he's going to change. And I think institutions like SIRS and us, we're all looking at our own data pool and trying to see if we can use that data pool as the area where we can work around a gene therapy for them.
Yes.
So basically that's how it should work.
We are also planning to collaborate with the 6 institutes at this point of time, but still in the initial phases of us also.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
At this point of time, you would be glad to know this is the most expensive ever drug sold in US market.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Gairik is the last speaker of the session, and he's going to speak on AI-based